والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, inshallah ta'ala, with another pillar of the pillars of Iman, and that is Iman bil-Rusul, to believe in the messengers. And what is intended by this is to know the foundation of our deen, the pillars of our Iman. Without this foundation, there is no value of one's actions or anything in this life. So this is the most important thing in matters of the deen. This is not an optional knowledge. This is a mandatory thing for every Muslim. And if we did not sit and learn the pillars of our Iman, which is unseen to us, there's no source where we get to know what we're supposed to believe in except the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It's not something that a person would have in his fitrah, in his innate. No, it's something that we have to learn. And that's why those who lose their mind, those who are insane, they're not responsible for their actions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't hold them accountable for not knowing, because they don't have the means. But once a person has the ability to understand, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed this favor upon someone to be a Muslim, then it's a mandatory thing, of course, for us to learn matters of aqidah, matters of belief. Again, it's unseen to us, ghaib, and the only way to know the ghaib is from the Quran and the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. That's why we're just mentioning briefly the points that we have to believe in. Not all the details that we need to know about the messengers of Allah, otherwise this can take a long time. But just the points of aqidah, points of belief that we're supposed to have in our hearts, and then our actions will be accordingly. When we say al-Iman bil-Rusul, to believe in the messengers of Allah. Al-Rasul is a messenger, someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to convey the message to the human being, to inform them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them to worship Him alone, with the different jobs of the messengers that we will talk about it also inshallah ta'ala in brief. So the word al-Rasul is a messenger, and that's why the same word is used for any messenger between two groups of people, between countries and so on. And the Rasul being sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a human being for his people. Every messenger was sent to his people till the final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in which he was sent to all mankind. There is no other messenger to come, which is again one of the matters of belief. The word al-Nabi or al-Anbiya is the plural. These are the prophets. And as you probably heard it many times, what is the difference between al-Nabi and al-Rasul? Linguistically, al-Nabi comes from al-Naba, or the news, right? So the Nabi, he has information, he has something for the people. And also comes literally or linguistically from al-Nabwa. Al-Nabwa is the high place where the Arab, whenever they travel, or anything, that they would go onto a high place to inform the people. So this is linguistically. The religious meaning of it, also the Prophet is someone that is revealed to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he received the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the ulama, they had more than one opinion with regards to the difference between both. The majority, or many of them, they would say, a Nabi or Prophet, he is someone that is revealed to him wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he was not ordered to make the tabligh of it or the conveyance of the message. Al-Rasul, on the other hand, is a messenger. Still the wahi comes down to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he was ordered to convey the message. But this opinion, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, is not the strongest opinion, although this is what is well established or well spread among people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. The most correct opinion is that both the Nabi and the Rasul, wahi has been revealed to them, came down to them, the wahi, the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and both were ordered to convey the message. Both of them, they're ordered to convey the message. But the difference then, if both a Nabi or Rasul is mentioned together, is that the message or the messenger, he comes with new legislation, comes with a book, comes with a new message to the people, especially with halal and haram and how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so on. But as for the Prophet or the Nabi, still the revelation come down to him, but he is following a previous message, like the many Anbiya of Bani Israel. So the prophets of Bani Israel, they would come without a new message, the same rulings as it is, still revealed to them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they follow the previous message of a previous messenger or prophet. And this is something mentioned in the Quran, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ وَلَا نَبِيٍّ إِلَّا إِذَا تَمَنَّى أَلْقَى الشَّيْطَانُ فِي أُمْنِيَّتِهِ to the end, which means we have not sent before you, sent, أرسلنا, right? Rasul, أرسلنا, we have not sent, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's saying we have not sent before you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, مِنْ رَسُولٍ وَلَا نَبِيٍّ, from a messenger or a Nabi. So both are mentioned in the ayah, that they both were sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And that's why, again, if they are mentioned in the same context, that means Rasul and Nabi, there is some more meanings than being the same thing, right? Linguistically, the word is based on ta'sis, that means you cannot say was sent a messenger, right? It doesn't make sense. That means there has to be something extra. So there's a difference, of course, between the Rasul and the Nabi. But if the word Rasul is mentioned alone in a context, it also refers to a Nabi, but not necessarily vice versa. Right? So as they say, every Nabi or every Rasul is Nabi, but not every Nabi is Rasul. Right? Because we said the Nabi, he follows a previous message. So not every Nabi is Rasul. That means he brought to the people a new message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But every Rasul is Nabi, because both they are sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and both they convey the message. And of course, as we all know, part of the belief that all the message of the messengers, right, in its basis, the foundation of it is the same. There is no difference in the message when it comes to matters of belief. It does not change. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he said in the authentic hadith, الأنبياء إخوة لعلات أمهاتهم شتى ودينهم واحد, which means the prophets are brothers, but their mothers are different, right? They are brothers, but their mothers are different, and دينهم واحد. The religion is one religion. There's no religions. It's only one true religion. Yes, people invent religions, right? But the only true religion is the one and only religion of all the prophets of Allah, which is the religion of Islam. Inna ad-deena 'inda Allahi al-Islam. And this is a matter of belief, aqidah, right? We cannot compromise on these things, right? It's a very sad thing that many of the Muslims today, they would have this basic matter of aqidah is distorted, but it's not clear to them. The religion from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all the messengers of Allah, from Adam alayhi salam till the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it's all one thing, and that is the religion of Islam, which is to willingly submit yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to worship only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to worship anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they believe in the angels and the messengers and so on. So this is when it comes to the point of the difference between the Nabi and the Rasul, as we heard also in the Quran, that both are mentioned. Definitely this is one of the foundation of matters of Iman, as we said, one of the pillars of Iman. That means whoever disbelieves in it, that takes him outside the fold of Islam. Clearly stated in the Quran in many verses and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is consensus among the Ummah, no differences of opinions whatsoever. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا آمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَالْكِتَابِ الَّذِي نَزَّلَ عَلَى رَسُولِهِ وَالْكِتَابِ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ مِنْ قَبْلِ وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِاللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالًا بَعِيدًا. We who believe. We believe in Allah and His Messenger and the books, and the book that Allah revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, and the books that were revealed before, as we mentioned that last week. And whoever disbelieves, وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ, whoever disbelieves in Allah and His messengers and the books that has been revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had indeed deviated ضَلَالًا بَعِيدًا, The deviation is ba'ida means far away. That means he's away from any means of guidance. That means he's a disbeliever. Right? So this is one of the foundation of the deen, one of the principles of the deen. But even furthermore, if a person disbelieves, this is when it comes to disbelieving in the messengers. Right? If a person disbelieves in one messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's like disbelieving in all the messengers of Allah. No difference. Even if he believes in all of them, but disbelief in only one. Right? He's like the previous case. He's a disbeliever, he disbelieves in all of them. Who said this? This is, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that in the Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْفُرُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَيُرِيدُونَ أَن يُفَرِّقُوا بَيْنَ اللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَيَقُولُونَ نُؤْمِنُ بِبَعْضٍ وَنَكْفُرُ بِبَعْضٍ وَيُرِيدُونَ أَن يَتَّخِذُوا بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ حَقًّا وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا مُهِينًا. Very clear statement, not from the mutashabihat or anything. Indeed, those who disbelieve in Allah and His messengers, and they want to separate or differentiate between their belief in Allah and His messengers. They say we believe in Allah, but not the messengers, right? وَيُرِيدُونَ أَن يُفَرِّقُوا بَيْنَ اللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَيَقُولُونَ نُؤْمِنُ بِبَعْضٍ. And they say we will believe in some and disbelieve in others. And they want to have a middle ground in this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called them what? They have some belief? No. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ حَقًّا. Indeed, they are the disbelievers, حَقًّا, meaning with the truth. That means this is the highest level of making the statement very strong. Not that they are disbelievers and that's it. They are in reality, no doubt. The truth of the matter is they are disbelievers, the true disbelievers, truly disbelievers, these people. Right? And we have prepared for the disbelievers humiliating torment for them. So this is in the case of even rejecting one messenger of Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent. So that means we have to know who are the ones that we're supposed to believe in. Right? Because messenger of Allah, that means we have to have the clear evidence that he's a messenger from Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned in the Quran, and this is an interesting thing, when messengers were sent, the people, those who disbelieved in them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called them that they disbelieved in all the messengers. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَذَّبَتْ قَوْمُ نُوحٍ الْمُرْسَلِينَ كَذَّبَتْ قَوْمُ نُوحٍ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. The people of Nuh, they denied, they disbelieved in al-Mursaleen. Al-Mursaleen is plural. The people of Nuh disbelieved in all the messengers of Allah, but there was only one messenger. Nuh alayhi salam is the first messenger. Adam alayhi salam was a prophet. Right? It was revealed to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the first messenger is Nuh alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said or called the people of Nuh that they disbelieved in the Mursaleen and all the messengers of Allah, although one messenger only was sent to them. Why? Because if they disbelieved in Nuh alayhi salam as a messenger, that means they disbelieved in all the messengers of Allah that will be sent next or afterwards. So even in the future, if it didn't happen, they still disbelieved in all of them because the message is the same. Right? The same thing, كَذَّبَتْ عَادٌ الْمُرْسَلِينَ كَذَّبَتْ ثَمُودُ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Right? It's repeated in the Quran that these people, they disbelieved in all the messengers of Allah when they denied one messenger of Allah or saying that he is not a messenger from Allah. So we have to believe in all of them, and disbelieving in one messenger makes the person outside the fold of Islam, which is the only religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to all the prophets. And that's why the messengers, who are the messengers and the prophets and so on. The Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith in Muslim Ahmad and others that the prophets are 100,000, 124,000. 124,000 prophets, Nabi, right? And the messengers, he said, alayhi salatu wassalam, وَثَلَاثُمَائَ وَبِضْعَةَ عَشَرَ رَسُولًا جَمًّا غَفِيرًا, which means, and many messengers and prophets, he said the messengers are 300 and over 10, like 310 and more, between 10 and 20, right? So 311, 312, 315, But bid'ah from 3 to 9, right? So 315, 319, something like this. Messengers from Allah, messengers. And 124,000 prophets, Anbiya. So this is a huge number, right? The ones that we know their names, in the Quran there are only 25. Only 25 messengers are mentioned in the Quran, right? And we don't have to mention all the names, right, the details, but these are the ones mentioned in the Quran as messengers, or prophets from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, there are some mentioned, like Shaykh, and this is an authentic narration by the Habban, and Suhuf was revealed to him. Shaykh and Yusha ibn Nun. Yusha ibn Nun is mentioned in authentic hadith where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made dua that Allah would keep the sun, not to set the sun before he would finish the fight with the enemy, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept the sun for him the day longer so that they would defeat the enemy. Right? So this is Yusha ibn Nun. Some of the messengers, there are differences of opinions whether they are messengers or not. First of all, matters of Aqidah, we have to know it from the Quran and the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is the criteria that we go by. If some they were not sure whether the hadith did not reach them or not, some of them, for example, is Al-Khadr, right? Whether he is a prophet or not. He was not a messenger, but whether he is a Nabi or one of the awliya, one of the righteous people. So this is a very differences of opinions. Tubba, right, as it's mentioned in the Quran, and Dhul Qarnayn, right, but Tubba and Dhul Qarnayn, those who said that they are prophets, it's a weak opinion, definitely. Why? Because there's an authentic hadith that the Prophet ﷺ himself, he said, ما أدري أتبع نبيا أم لا وما أدري أذو القرنين نبيا أم لا. Prophet ﷺ himself is saying, I do not know if Tubba, as mentioned in the Quran, is a prophet or not. And I do not know if Dhul Qarnayn is a prophet or not. So if the Prophet ﷺ doesn't know, then who would come after that and says that they are prophets? Right? So we take what the Prophet ﷺ said, and it shows even, see the level of the Prophet ﷺ. He does not speak from his desire. This was not revealed to him. Tubba was mentioned in the Quran and Dhul Qarnayn mentioned in the Quran. But the wahy revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not come to the Prophet ﷺ to tell him whether they were prophets or not. So the Prophet ﷺ said what he knew, alayhi salatu wasalam. Right, so this is with regards to some of the people that there's some differences of opinions. Even some said that although one of the basic beliefs in the prophets that they all are men, right? They're all men. Although some of the few scholars like Imam al-Qurtubi and others, they said that Maryam she had some prophethood because there is wahy. So why they said there are some women they were prophets, right? Some of the ulama, just if you come across to something like this, is because there was some form of wahy has been unto them. But definitely they were not into the message or conveying the message or whatever. But of course this is not the strong opinion. The strong opinion, the majority of the ulama, that the prophets are all men. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. We did not send before you except men. إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ. And the ayah is very exclusive. Right? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا. We have not sent before you except men. So this is also another point in matters of worship. When it comes to the need of people to have the message and to have messengers, this is more than they need the air to breathe and the food to eat. As we said, disbelieving in the messengers of Allah does not avail the person even if he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if he worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Right? And does not commit shirk whatsoever. If he disbelieves in the messengers of Allah, that belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not benefit him. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent messengers. And people are in need of the messengers. And the problem is people do not, those who claim that they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they did not really believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To meet the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَا قَدَرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ القدر إذ قالوا ما أنزل الله على بشر من شيء. They did not قدر الله حق قدر. That means, literally it means they did not estimate the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are liars when they said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not bring down, reveal to any human being anything, which they call them agnostics, right, nowadays. They believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but no prophets, no religion, no prophets, and so on. Then this is, of course, disbelief, because they have to believe in the messengers of Allah. And if a person doesn't, the fact of life that we live in, they're claiming then that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no wisdom and nothing whatsoever to leave the human beings like this, without sending a messenger and messengers to guide them, right? He created us subhanahu wa ta'ala because they say that they believe in Him, and He's the only creator, the sustainer, and so on. That means He would not leave His creation like that. He had to send the messengers. He would send messengers and prophets to call people, to inform them about the purpose of their life, to just bring what's in their innate, because in the fitrah, every human being, they have inside of them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, the sustainer, and so on. You don't need to convince people with this. That's why the messengers of Allah, they never debated with their people whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists or not. They only called the people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Why? Because this is by necessity. It's in ourselves, right? It's nothing whatsoever except arrogance if a person refuses that. So the human beings are in need of the message. And today, with all the sophistication and people claim to have so much knowledge, they can't agree on anything of what is right and what is wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in the fitrah, in the innate of the human beings, the basics of what is right and what is wrong. They all know that justice is a good thing, in general. But when it comes to the specific even, they would differ what is the real justice, right? The superior will define justice according to his superiority, right? And the one with one color, justice is for his people, for his race, right? It will be defined in one way, and it's not defined in other ways, right? And this is all form of injustices. And the most just system whatsoever on the face of earth today commits so much injustices. Why? Because they're away from the wahy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe justice to their people, right? But not justice to those who are not their people, right? And you don't have anybody following the news, they see that, right? So this is how human beings are. They would never be just. They would be always so much injustice, unless they follow the wahy, the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the only just way. If people would just understand it and follow it, it's the ultimate justice. And as Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah and his teacher Shaykh rahimahullah, when they wrote beautiful statements about the need of the human beings to the messengers, and they gave the example of the sun to this life, right? As the case that people need the sun to see, they need light to see. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create us with self-emitting light. That when it's dark, you find your eyes emit lights to see what's in front of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable, of course, to have this in us. But we're created like this, deficient. When it's dark, we can't see anything, right? We need external light for us to see. So the same way, and this is we're created this way so that we think. The same way human beings are in darknesses. They cannot see the truth. They're totally oblivious and deviant from the truth till the shams or the sun of the message will rise, and this is the external light for them. Right? So when people always the long time debate one's intellect or one's wahy or the wahy revelation from Allah. Even some of the Muslims today, right? If the wahy and the revelation from Allah, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ said one thing, but what they think is another thing, right? Should we follow what we think, or we should follow the wahy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's a basic belief that we have to submit ourselves to the wahy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the aql and the intellect comes in place, it's like the example of the darkness. Have light first, and then use your mind, right? But if you're in the middle of the darkness, you can't see anything. You can use your mind all what you want. You can fall into the next hole that which is the next step. Your mind will not benefit you. But once you have the light, now you can see, then you can think, right? People use their mind based on what they see and the environment that they're in. That's why they're so limited and deficient. They don't even know what's beyond. And then they think that they know better. They know what is right and what is wrong and so on, and they would suggest on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, know that this is, nowadays this is better this way, better this way. This is extreme ignorance that a human being would reach this level. So we are in need of the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Human beings are lost in this life because we're away from the true message, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had saved for us, which is the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Briefly, because of the time, if we talk about some of the jobs of the messengers of Allah as it's stated in the Quran and in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, is of course tabligh, to convey the message. Ya Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, O Messenger of Allah, balligh, convey the message, what has been revealed to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this balagh, this conveyance, is not just words without any explanation to it. No, it's balagh with full clarity to it. Right? وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ. We brought down to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-dhikr, the Quran, to لِتُبَيِّن, al-bayan, right? To make it clear to the people what have been revealed to them, which is the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi sallam, explains the Quran. And with the actions of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with his speech alayhi sallam, made the matter so clear to us. So there's no ambiguity in the religion. And if something that we don't have the knowledge of, it's meant to be this way. It won't benefit us to establish the purpose of our life. But anything that we need to establish the purpose of our life, to live perfectly, exactly the same as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, it has been conveyed. Completely, clearly, and so on. This is in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So they convey the message. And of course, the final message has been so comprehensive and clear to the people. Yes, there is room for ijtihad, for the people of knowledge and so on. But again, that's why even the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the one that is making the ijtihad, of course the alim that has the tools and the means to do so, in a matter that is not a clear text or direct text in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, if he got the right opinion, he has 2 rewards. And if he's not, he gets 1 reward. So anyway, he's gaining, he's winning, right? So this is one of the very important jobs of the messengers, is to convey the message and convey it with clear clarity and so on. Ad-da'wah is another thing, to call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's the authentic hadith in Bukhari and others when the angels, when they came down to the Prophet ﷺ when he was sleeping. And they said, نَائِمٌ أَمْ يَقْظَانِ, is he sleeping or he's awake? And then one of them, he said, because of the time, he said that the example of the Prophet ﷺ, they gave an example of the Prophet ﷺ, كَمَثَلْ رَجُلٍ, is like a man, he has a palace, and he has ma'duba, or food inside. And he called people from the outside to come and eat this beautiful food, right? And whoever accepted this invitation, they ate from it. And whoever didn't accept, they didn't eat. And then they said, this is the ones that obey the messenger, they are saved, they enter the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whoever disobey him, they are disbelievers and so on. Very simple example, not complicated, right? Because life is it's supposed to be that simple, and anybody can understand this. So the Prophet ﷺ and the messengers before, they were ordered to call people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and this is the basic da'wah of it. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَى أُمَمٍ مِّن قَبْلِكَ, and also وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونِ. We have not sent for a messenger before you, except the only thing, or the most important thing is, there's no one worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then worship him. So this is the da'wah. Also, one of the clear jobs of the messengers is tabshir wal-inzar, to give the glad tidings and to warn the people. To give the glad tidings to the believers and to warn the disbelievers. This is all over the Quran. This is how every messenger, he called his people to La ilaha illallah. He did not just leave it like that, to believe in La ilaha illallah and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and that's it. No. He warned them and he gave them the good news. He said, if you believe, You are among the believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised you Jannat and paradise and so on. And if you disbelieve, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warn you that you will be in the hellfire. And that's why they become enemies to Him. Right? If it's just calling them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and that's it, right? This is deficient. And that's why those who call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their da'wah should be like the da'wah of the messengers. They call them to the tawheed, and then they give them the glad tidings and the warning if they reject the message. And the same thing we should do in matters of da'wah, in a nice way, in a lenient way, but not to leave people like this thinking that it's okay for them to disbelieve. Right? Because if you just give them the message, yeah, it's a beautiful idea. But do I have to? Is it a must on me otherwise? Yes. This is the fairness and the goodness in the hearts of the Muslim that he has to convey and not to conceal this truth. Even if they would respond to you by saying that this is, might market you or something like this. And that's why the prophets, they had the bravery to do it. They have to have this bravery. And that's why the Muslim also have to have the bravery with hikmah, with leniency and wisdom to convey the message, right? Because this is what it is, to save them from the hellfire. So they came with both. Because sometimes people don't like to warn. They like just to give the glad tidings. No, they came with both, Bashira and Nadhira, giving glad tidings and warning also. Another job is to purify the souls of the people, to purify them. وَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed His favor upon the believers when He sent a messenger from among themselves to recite unto them the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, conveying the message, and وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and purify them. So purifying our souls is through following the messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If people try all kinds of means to purify themselves, they will never be able to. That's why many people on the face of earth, they try to purify themselves, whether to put themselves into some harsh conditions or extreme hunger, or walk barefoot in thorns and thinking that this is ways to purify themselves by suffering and sacrificing and so on. No, it's about following the way of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And even some of us as Muslims, a person might think the way to purify myself, as you would find some deviations like this in some of the books. You have to sit next to the garbage and smell the garbage for a day. Did the Prophet ﷺ did such a thing? Of course not. This is not good for your health and for your deen and everything. Why would you do such a thing? They thought that to do this is to be humble. When you sit next to the garbage, you're humble. The most humble person ever walked on the face of the earth is Rasulullah ﷺ. So to be humble is to follow his way. And his way is clear to us, and not to invent ways or means for people to think that they purify themselves. Would it make them feel humble and think that they are purified? Yes, and as we said, it's deceiving. The most, or the disbelievers, they also have their own means of thinking that this is purify their souls, and they feel that they are purified. They feel that they are so spiritual or whatever there is. And it's all deception, ways of shaitan that would make the person, again like someone intoxicated, he feels good, he feels happy, but he's miserable. So the only way to purify ourselves is to follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and let's just put these feelings aside. We follow the truth, and when a person is steadfast on the truth, then the feelings will come, inshallah, right? But it's not about feelings, it's about following the truth. So this is the means of purifying the soul. Also to reform matters of belief, to make sure that the belief is straight, is correct. Because we find the human beings, everybody says, I believe this and I believe that. You talk with anyone about anything, each person has his own belief. Where did you get your belief from? Because of what you saw, what you heard, or some books that you read? No, the belief comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to humble ourselves to know the matters of belief from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. To establish the evidence against the people. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, لِأَلَّا يَكُونَ النَّاسِ حُجَّةٌ عَلَى اللَّهِ بَعْدَ الرُّسُلِ. So that people don't come on the Day of Judgment and say, we didn't know. So the messengers are sent. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. We would not punish till a messenger is being sent. That's why some people in the Day of Judgment, they will have the excuse because the message didn't reach them, the messenger was not sent to them, or the message didn't reach them, so they will be questioned or being tested in the Day of Judgment. So they have an excuse. Right? Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن مِّنْ أُمَّةٍ إِلَّا خَلَى فِيهَا نَذِيرٌ. There is no nation unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a nadhir or a warner to them. Right? But particular persons at certain times, like for example, if you think about any nation on the face of earth, Romans, Arabs, Indians, whatever, each nation there's a messenger has been sent to them. Right? But being away from the message of the messengers, the truth did not reach them. Those who the message did not reach them, they will be tested in the Day of Judgment. So one of the benefits of sending the message is to establish the hujjah with the clarity on the people. And as the Prophet ﷺ also said, and the Quran says this many times, to lead the ummah. The messengers, they lead their nations. Right? And as he said, ﷺ, that Anbiya Bani Israel, that's why there are many of them without a new message, they were sent to lead their people, to be their kings or their leaders or whatever. And of course, our leader is the Messenger ﷺ, meaning this is the one that we follow. And also following his orders and the hukm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rulings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. Very quickly, because of the time we have 5 minutes left, prophethood is not, or messengership, is not something for a person to ask for. Right? Although now, of course, it's finished, it's sealed by the sent of the Prophet ﷺ, but even before the Prophet ﷺ, if the messengership was not terminated yet, was it permissible for someone to say, oh Allah, make me a messenger? No. Because it's a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to whoever He will, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that fits best. And that's why it was said, Umayyah bin Salt, he would make dua that he wants to be a prophet. Right? There was no such, before the Prophet ﷺ was sent. So there's no such a thing. And that's why if a person makes dua, he should make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him among the righteous ones. Right? But not to make such a dua, of course. And the Prophet ﷺ is the final messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because some deviants, they believe otherwise. This is kufr, this is disbelief. Whoever believes there's another messenger after the Prophet ﷺ, that belief is disbelief, takes the person outside the fold of Islam. Even if he prays 5 times a day, even if he honors the Prophet ﷺ, doesn't matter. Right? This is a matter of principle, a matter of belief, that the final messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the people is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There are human beings, this is a matter of belief, of course. Messengers of Allah, prophets are human beings, flesh and blood. They have what the human beings they have, with emotions and pain and so on and so forth, so that they do not have any divine nature to them. Right? Because like the Christians, when they believed in Isa alayhi salam, this is definitely not permissible. Prophets are human beings. They eat and drink, and they have needs, and they relieve themselves, right? Like everybody else. The human nature thinks it's in them. And it's even mentioned in the Bible that Isa alayhi salam was hungry, and he went out and he saw a tree with a fig tree, and he went and ate from it. Well, actually he went and he didn't know, subhanAllah, he didn't know that it's not the season for figs, and he even said some things. So the Lord of the Alameen doesn't, so this is, it's even present today, right? So a human being hungry, or he has to be a human being, no doubt. So there are human beings, and that has implications too. Yes, there are human beings, but they are the best of the human beings. The best of all the human beings. Why? Because they received the wahy, the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whoever elevate them to a divine level, or to give them some of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is deviation, of course. So whoever claims that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam know the ghaib, or know the unseen like this, without any limits, this is deviation. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never said that about his own self. He only know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him. As he said, alayhi salatu wasallam, "La tutruni kama atrat an-nasara Maryam." Do not exaggerate in my praise like the Christians did to the son of Maryam, Isa alayhi salam. Right? إِنَّمَا أَنَا عَبْدُ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولُهُ. Indeed, I am the slave of Allah and His messenger. This is the highest level that a human being can reach, which is to be the perfect slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and a messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They used to do what human beings do as far as livelihood. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that every messenger he had to take care of the goats and the sheep as a shepherd, right? And he said, I did that before prophethood. And some of them used to be carpenters and so on. So they used to earn money, right? Which is part of their life as human beings, and it's not something to degrade them, but something even for them to be more honored. They were the perfect human beings, and perfection to the human beings are the ones that would fulfill exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them. They are the best when it comes to matters of lineage. They have the best lineage, right? And it's known, the lineage is well known. They're all men, as we said. They always are given the choice at the moment of death, right? They're given the choice whether to live or die. And we know that by the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ, when he kept saying, بَلِ رَفِيقِ الْأَعْلَى, but instead the high companionship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also one of the characteristics, that they are to be buried in the same place that they die. Wherever they die, in the same place, they are to be buried, as the Prophet ﷺ said that clearly in the hadith, and that's why he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is buried in his house, not in the masjid, in his house, alayhi salatu wasalam. And there is the story of the people of Testor, which is in Kathir rahimahullah, he mentioned it in the book of Al-Bidayah wal-Hidayah, and it's an authentic narration. When the Sahaba, they went to the city of Testor, and they found there, to the people, there was a man, and his body was preserved, and by his head there was a book, and he was laying on a bed, not buried or anything, out there. And when they saw this and they asked, who's this? They said, this is Nabi Daniel, right? And whenever the people, they have drought, they will bring him out and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for rain, right? And they would get rain. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, to protect the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this hundreds or thousands of years, and he is the same way, which is one of the characteristics of the messengers, that the earth doesn't take or eat their flesh. They stay preserved, as the Prophet ﷺ said. So he was preserved for these years, but the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, what did they do? That same night, or the same day, they made 13 graves, 13 holes in the ground, and at night, when it's dark, they buried him in one of the 13 ones, and they put the sand in there, so that people won't know where is he, right? So that they don't ask anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to protect them from the shirk and associating partners with Allah, and see how the understanding of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, that the one to be worshipped is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the dua is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. They do not call upon even a messenger of Allah. Which brings another point. The messengers that are living in their grave a more perfect life than this life. They're not living this life, they're living a more perfect life. Right? So it's not this life with the rules and means of this life that people, some of them would say that he went to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ and he shook hands with the Prophet ﷺ and his hand came out and he shook his hand. Right? This is a way to deceive the people. And they would say, MashaAllah, that you are anything that a person here like this is just made up things. The Prophet ﷺ in the debate, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّكَ مَيِّتٌ وَإِنَّهُمْ مَيِّتُونَ, you will die and they will die. وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ رُسُلٌ أَفَإِنْ مَاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انقَلَبْتُمْ عَلَىٰ أَعْقَابِكُمْ. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when Umar radiallahu anhu was standing and he's saying, whoever says that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam died, I will kill him with my sword. And then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came and he called the people to pay attention, and he started speaking and he said, يا أيها الناس من كان يعبد الله من كان يعبد محمدا فإن محمدا قد مات ومن كان يعبد الله فإن الله حي لا يموت. Whoever used to worship Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had died. And whoever used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ever living, he never died. And then he quoted the ayah that we just mentioned, Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, and as if I heard it just now. You know the ayah, but as if I heard it now, and his legs could not carry him, and this because of the extreme love they had to the Prophet ﷺ, and then they realized the fact, the reality that they were facing. But the Prophet ﷺ died, and he returned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he is living a more perfect life than this life. That's why the salam reaches him. The salat of the Prophet ﷺ reaches the Prophet ﷺ. If millions of people send their salam to the Prophet ﷺ if he was living this life, would he ﷺ comprehend, right, all of this? He's living a more perfect life than the life that we are in. And what is left is the matter of Isma. The Prophet ﷺ and the messengers of Allah are protected from major sins, consensus among the ulama, protected from minor sins that would affect their message, definitely, and also protected from anything that would even, it's all about their ijtihad or their opinions and so on, which the wahi would come and correct it, right? And then the miracles which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aided the messengers with them. You can say it took 5 more minutes. There are many things to be mentioned, but again we'll try to make it brief, inshallah ta'ala. But this is the basic or the most important points with matter of messengership or the prophets or the messengers of Allah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us apply that in our hearts with matters of belief, and then our speech and actions to be accordingly, to follow the way of the final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that his message abrogated all the messages before, and this is an obligation for all human beings to follow his way alayhi salatu wasalam. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.